I thought I'd give a quick recap of my first 7 days of hand cutting joinery practice. So the thing about hand cutting joinery is you've got to practice because a lot of it is about muscle memory. So I've cut dovetails in the past. These are some that I've made, and they're not the best, but they're good enough that once they're glued together and sanded, they're good enough. Long story short, that's kind of the extent of my practice is a few different times cutting dovetails. So I decided to improve my skills. And number one, I thought would be the easiest is just a simple bridle joint. You can rip these out on the table saw super fast, super easy. Not so much so with hand cutting. I mean, this is the result of dovetails after, I don't know, cutting 3 or 4, I think is about how many I cut. And I mean, they're pretty, those are half decent. I mean, needs to be clamped, but once that's clamped and glued, it'll be perfect. My next joint I attempted was a bridled miter joint like that. I mean, it turned out pretty decent. I mean, I was reefing on it and I pulled it apart. So, I mean, the joint isn't very great anymore, but it was okay. Then cut my first set of dovetails in a long time. Again, clamping it up, it'd be decent. Tried a houndstooth dovetail for the first time ever. There's a couple gaps here and there, but overall, pretty good. Especially for the first time I've ever cut them. Yeah, but going back to here, look at the gaps on that. So here's my surprising conclusion. Everybody says that dovetails they're a mark of a woodworker's skill with hand cut joinery. And to some extent I agree with that. But if you really want to see somebody who's good with their hand skills, have them cut a bridle joint. Because that sucker has to be bang on. It has to be perfect in order to look good. Dovetails, there's all sorts of things you can do to kind of fudge it. I mean, you can undercut a little bit in different places. You know, if the inside of the joint looks like crap, the inside of the joint looks like crap. But with a bridle joint, you have to have those margins all the way around just spot on. Otherwise, you get big gaps and it looks like crap. Video editing me here is inserting a point because I realized I forgot to also point out that despite a crappy inside, a dovetail joint is still relatively strong. The mechanical features of the dovetail joint will make it not fail. However, if the inside of a bridle joint is garbage, the joint is garbage because it won't hold, even if you dump the glue to it. Yeah, anyway, back to my rant. Bridle joints, that's the mark of a good hand cut joinery. A guy who can cut a bridle joint and have it perfect, that to me now is more impressive than dovetails, because I can do dovetails. I can't do a bridle joint.